All right, y'all. Let's get into this. Here you are with me, Ronald's Comics and Coffee. It's a little late in the day, so I'm not gonna have no coffee. Don't mean I can't talk about it because I love it. I love coffee. Coffee's great. Coffee's great. But hey, Eyes of Wakanda. Eyes of Wakanda was planned out a while ago, but finally was released on Disney Plus, and I have watched it. So I'm just gonna basically give my opinion, talk about a little bit of each story. It's 4 episodes, 4 episodes, 4 good episodes. I do like some better than the others. My favorite, I have to say, is number 3. It's called Lost and Found, but we're not gonna go right to number 3. We're gonna talk about the first one. First one's called Into the Lion's Den. Now, this does deal with the time variance. More so the last episode, which is called The Last Panther, deals with the time variance. And I like that. I actually, when that one came on, I actually stopped and said, I'm going to take a break. But I wish I would have kept going because that one turned out to be really good, right up there with number 3, the one that I like. But the first one's called Into the Lion's Den. Starts with one of the members of the Dora Milaje. Seems like she's got, I guess you could say, some attitude problems, how she deals with situations. So she was kicked out of the Dora Milaje. But there's a situation where you have someone that has left Wakanda and has decided to start his own little world out here, and he calls himself the Lion, and everything is a lion reference. So maybe he just kind of took that idea of the panther and said, you know what, my place is gonna be dealing with lions, and so he took all that Wakandan information, all that Wakandan knowledge and Wakandan technology, and started his own little deal. So it needs to be brought back. They want him brought back to Wakanda. They want him dealt with. So they send out this one member that went rogue, was kicked out / rogue, depending on whose story you're looking at, and they send her after him. So she goes, she finds him. They have their little tussle, and she ends up killing him. She deals with him in that way, and she comes back, but they want her back into the Dora Milaje, but she knows that she doesn't fit there. So she becomes, appears to me as a griot, of Wakanda over time, which takes us into the second episode, which is called Legends and Lies, which deals pretty much with there's this stolen tech, and I forgot to mention in the Lion's Den, because he did steal a lot of the tech, but I did mention that, but yeah, he did steal a lot of the tech, and he's using it for his new world. So that has to be eliminated and annihilated. So yeah, and the next one, Legends and Lies, there's a stolen or misplaced or lost piece that the Greeks have, and this has to do with the story of Achilles' heel and the Trojan. So kind of has a story, but it's got from a Wakandan perspective, So, this Wakandan prince, becomes a friend of Achilles, and there's a bond, but he's there for one reason and one reason only, and that's to retrieve this stolen piece and artifact, because Wakanda, they cannot let these pieces of artifact get out into the world, because if these people, those outside of Wakanda, find this and they've realized what it can do, there'll be this hunger for it, and Wakandans feel as though people are going to come for it. and they'll have more of a fight on their hands than they may be ready for. So that's what they do over all these years and time, through the time span. They send people out to go and retrieve these stolen or lost or missing or misplaced artifacts of Wakanda. So yeah, so that was a good story. That was actually a good story. That story kind of hit me right here, because I was like, wow, there was a bond there. But when that bond, the Wakandan prince really did end up having a tie or a bond with Achilles. But he had to remember his mission, and his mission was to get this peace, and by any means necessary. But Achilles saw it as treason, of course. And once you are blinded by what you perceive as treason, or backstabbing, or you don't take the time to see what it is and how it differs from what you perceive it to be, it can get carried away. And that's kind of what happened. And that was somewhat of a sad story, but that was a good one. I tell you, this Ryan Coogler, he's that dude. And I know, well, I'll get to what I'm about to say at the end of my Lost and Found. My favorite Lost and Found was good, because basically what you have here is Wakanda meets Kunlun. Woo! So we're talking Panthers and Iron Fists, Panthers and Dragons. But yeah, it was. So you have this guy going out on a mission. His name escapes my mind. Bashir, I believe. He goes out to retrieve this piece, and it appears that it's in Kunlun. So you have an Iron Fist there, but we don't know this Iron Fist is also related to this person that took Bashir in and nursed him back to health, which I believe was all a fake out, as to, I'm hurt, I'm lost, I'm dehydrated, I'm on the brink of death. So this lady took him in, nursed him back to health, and also was watching him, because he thought that, I found the piece. It was always thought that the piece was here. It was in one of their dragons. It was the tongue. And he says, got the piece. She is watching him because she has a suspicion, even though she nursed him back to health and they become intimate. But little does he know that she is an Iron Fist. Woo, man. Yeah, once that hits the fan, it gets so good. That was great. Power Man and Iron Fist. Iron Fist is actually probably one of my favorite characters. One of my favorite characters from the Marvel Universe. Danny Rand, I know a lot of people say, Danny Rand, you have this Caucasian man being this, this great martial artist from East Asia, I believe. He's from the mountains of Asia, and it just don't seem right. Well, that's the way the story goes. And you can always switch that if you choose, but hey, this is the story. This is what was made. This is how they chose to do it. There's more to the story than just what meets the eye here. But Iron Fist, I have to say, did not fare so well in the Netflix Marvel shows. Second season definitely got better. Daughters of the Dragon, Misty Knight, all that second season was done justice. First season, this guy, they really did not take the time with his martial art skills or his martial art choreographics. It was bad. But anyway, part 3, Lost and Found. So she comes as an Iron Fist. he took not just the tongue, but he took the whole dragon head. So that's a stolen piece from Kunlun. She had to go out and retrieve that from Wakanda. So that was why I say Wakanda meets Kunlun. And great story, great story. You got to watch it. You got to watch it. I'm not going to go too deep in it. You got to watch it. And then you have number 4, which is The Last Panther, which really gets into the timeline, you know, that we've been dealing with the whole phase 4 going into phase 5. And so what you have is two warriors from Wakanda and a certain time frame. They're going to retrieve these artifacts that were stolen or misplaced from Wakanda. They go, but then they run into someone from a future timeline that says, this is what will become of us in Wakanda. And it's a panther. It's a lady panther. And she shows them through some tech that she has that works through her costume. And they see, so they know, they realize they need to put this piece back. This piece needs to go back where it was taken from in order to stop the onslaught of what's going on in the future. So, you know, it's a good story. It's a great story, as a matter of fact. It turned out really good. But, you know, through some trials and tribulations, one of the warriors gets hurt almost deathly. And the young prince ends up putting the piece back where he got it from, where she wasn't supposed to take it from to begin with. But that's what they went to retrieve, and he jumped ahead of the game and took it. And anyway, it got turned back around and ended up saving the future. And everything went as it should have, so that Wakanda could be what it is present day. So I don't know if you are into watching Eyes of Wakanda, but Eyes of Wakanda, some good stories. Did it have anything to do that's going to move our stories forward in the MCU? No. I think it was a special feature, and it brought what it did, and it was just there for your entertainment. If you like Wakanda, you like the world of Wakanda, this was definitely some little tidbits that will, you know, feed your fancy. It'll feed your fancy and show you some connections in the Marvel world that you may not even know existed, you know. Yeah. So, hey, check it out. But once again, I know that there's those out there that are trying to say it was a bomb, it was this, it was that, you know, it failed. Listen, it was put out for you to consume. However many people watched it, or watch it, or will watch it, people need to be concerned with what they want to get out of this, not what everybody's saying in their, you know, their goofy little videos, their goofy little reviews or whatever. You know, there's just some out there that are hell-bent on Marvel failing, and they look for every opportunity to say this has failed. Marvel has admitted to failure, blah, blah. They haven't admitted to no failure. They're succeeding. Only failure is those of you that are out there and continue this madness of fake storytelling. But I'm not going to get too deep into that. That's another video for another day. But hey, don't forget to subscribe, thumbs up if you watched Eyes of Wakanda, or if you plan on watching it, and if you are just a Black Panther fan, or if you're an Iron Fist fan, or who's your favorite Marvel character? What comic books have you read, or did you used to read growing up, or do you still read and collect now? All right, till next time, Ronald's Coffee and Comics. I'm out. God bless.